Welcome to Podgorica, now ahead of the regional elections. I'm here in Podgorica. That's the Prime Minister's party, party number 6, and they are campaigning as well for the Podgorica municipality. But I'm a little bit disappointed because I'm very much, of course, on many sides of the Albanians, on the Albanian side, and I was very optimistic to see Albanian Prime Minister of this beautiful Montenegro, a country I love. And I will support, of course, the EU integration of this beautiful country. And I was very enthusiastic that my long-standing project of Balkan Benelux, that means the 4 countries who are pro-American, pro-European, pro-NATO, pro-EU, and also pro-Euro, Kosovo, Montenegro, and North Macedonia, and of course Albania, will work very closely together with Albanian ethnic Prime Minister from a pro-European party. And of course my project is very much the antithesis of what Mr. Vucic is planning, his rollback under the framework of Open Balkans, this title which is misleading because he wants to open the Balkans for Serbia. And I say yes to a European Balkans, yes to the Regional Cooperation Council, yes to closer cooperation of the pro-NATO countries together. Let's include as well Bosnia, because they are also a good country, but with the exemption of Dodik and his extremists in Banja Luka. But the thing is, and by the way, congratulations to the EU candidate status. That's at least one very major breakthrough. But then the last now, since April, after the second government reshuffle, there was December 2020, this government with a very much only one vote majority. Then in April 22, the new government after the failure of that transitionary government. And now we have already half a year of war, and here the government is now also working since half a year, more or less, since April, and I'm not convinced. I want to make it very clear. It's a very unconvincing performance. There's some activity, but not very convincing. Of course, he was in Kiev, respect for that. Of course, he has kept the European lines and he has joined the sanction regime, all fine. But why to dance with Vucic in Belgrade on the Open Balkans format? Serbia is not a dominating power. It's time that the pro-Western forces unite. And that's very important. Yeah? And if you are pro-Western and pro-European, pro-NATO, then you have to unite in these crisis times. Yeah? And that's the logic. Djukanovic, I love or not, all these things cannot be the decisive coalition anchor in the future. But it is, of course, your position towards the war, and there must be and your position towards the European Union accession. And there's only a few things still left to be done in order to join. And I say, even when some people criticize me for that, that Montenegro can be in the European Union for 2024. And this I want to see here. I want to see blue colors. I want to see very clear commitment towards the European Union. A European consensus for fast-track accession and clarity in moving into the European Union on a broad consensus government, appointing the few judges and some other things which the EU has invented as conditions, which are totally unrelated to EU accession. But okay, if that's necessary, then let's do it. Let's clean up the remaining issues and let's get Montenegro in the EU in 2024. And best, of course, together with Albania and North Macedonia. This is the way to achieve progress. And inside there can be then a lot of discussions and a lot of things still have to be reformed, because outside of Podgorica and the coast, this country is quite poor still. And that can only be improved inside the European Union. So that's the overriding priority for all politicians here, and not either church or Serbian wishes or whatever kind of priorities that were created in the coming month, in the last months. Yeah? So this is my request, and now we have these regional elections, and then it's really time to focus on EU accession, and of course the EU also to have the answer to the war and the 3 countries who are NATO allies to be in the European Union. And my friends in Brussels, yes, it is absolutely possible, it can be done, it should be done, it must be done. Mr. Putin needs a clear answer towards from the European side. And of course, EU membership matters very much, because then the countries, I mean, he still manipulates in Austria and buys politicians from France to Bulgaria. Yeah, okay, but it's of course much more complicated for him to undermine our unity once the institutional big issues are done. And so that's very important to get these big issues done. And that's why I call for the three countries who are basically ready. They will be much better off in the European Union, and Europe is much better off. And I call to American President, please help to get these countries into the European Union, and also reward positive behavior. Because the truth is, Mr. Vučić is with Russia and he should be punished. Serbia must be frozen from the EU. And then you see also the clarity in the differences, what the policy makes. Yeah? The one goes fast in the EU, the other is frozen and will never go in the EU. And that will be the future of Serbia if it stays with Russia. So the contrast must be very clear. And then we have also, I think, positive results, because here then the positive European reform areas and forces will be improved and will be strengthened, and the pro-Russian forces will be also punished, and then also Mr. Abazovic doesn't have to align with Mr. Vučić anymore, because he will be clearly isolated, and all associated with Vučić will be clearly isolated from the EU. That's the much better answer and the much better policy, and I call for that policy, and I expect it from the decision makers that they will do exactly this. And I applaud all the ones in the European Parliament who have already called for a freezing of the candidate status of Serbia, but I regret that there is not enough courage in the Commission to implement this, and I regret that also we have not gone fully through with the decisions to fast-track the three NATO allies into the European Union. And again, I call on Mr. Rama and the authorities in North Macedonia, and of course here the authorities, to work together in a triple alliance towards the EU accession of the three NATO allies, and of course for Kosovo and Bosnia to join NATO. That's the highest priority now, and then of course the EU and everybody to adopt the euro, and then we isolate Serbia. If Serbia is not ready for recognition of Kosovo, if Serbia is not ready for being in favor of Ukraine and supporting Ukraine, if Serbia is not ready as well to join NATO, and of course not ready to break with the hostile terror regime that Russia has turned into, and it clearly is now, and it will be completely isolated, as the Commission President has already said, and there is no way that suddenly the Serbs can continue to be the bridge to Moscow and take that role from Austria. Also Austria must join NATO and leave the bridge to the Chinese or the Iranians, who are similar regimes like Russia. And so let's get serious here with Montenegro. It's a beautiful country. I will show you more of it. It's amazing. It needs, you know, when you look at it, you know, the city not convincing, this shopping center not convincing, the socialist buildings from the past not very convincing, main square. There's of course much more dynamic areas as well in Podgorica. I will show you tonight some, as long as the light is there, some parts of it. I will also say that this main square needs to be redeveloped, and it can. Ask Arion Veliai how that works. He did it for Tirana, and there is a lot of possibilities. And also there will be a lot of money once Lindner hopefully is gone, and the EU will really support all the Western Balkan countries in the transition, in this energy shock, in the crisis related to the war, towards much more unity. That must be the answer to the Russian war of aggression. Thanks a lot for that, and more to come from Pax Europiana in the coming days here from Podgorica. Bye.